So what we want to do now is want to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say about that initial spat he had with KD, and then want to come back and continue all the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
All-timers. They don't want Kevin Durant just because his name. They want him because this brother's going to do big things, and they're going to see to it that he's going to do big things. Are you trying to tell me these large markets are not a consideration? I said nothing offensive about him. I will not say anything offensive about him. I still stand here today telling you he's a good dude, but he's wrong. And the guys that put him up to it in their own way. I'm not talking about literally his comments, but in their own way, with their chirping behind my back all the time. They're wrong too. And the sensitivity that these guys are showing, they are making unnecessary enemies. I am not one of them. I won't be. I got too much love and respect for who these guys are and what they mean to my community. Okay. But I will say this lastly. You don't want to make an enemy out of me. And I'm looking right into the camera, and I'm going to say it again. You do not want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not having it. I've done nothing wrong, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
Let me stop you there.
I don't talk to Stephen A. Smith at all. Nobody in my family, my friends, they don't talk to Stephen A. Smith, so he's lying. If you ask me a question, I'll talk about them. But like I said before, I have people who I talk to about everything, and I know for a fact they didn't talk to him, so he's making up stories. Stephen A., waiting to hear what you had to say about this all weekend. I know a lot of people are. What's your response to this?
Well, my first response, Molly, Skip, is that I'm incredibly happy that this happened on a Friday after First Take, because I will openly confess to you that had I had to come on the air that next day after reading somebody questioning my credibility and my character, I can promise you it would have been very bad. Kevin Durant is the one that's lying. I have interviewed Kevin Durant. His year, I interviewed him at his home in Seattle. I interviewed him years ago when we were in Orlando for SportsCenter. I've talked to him on several occasions, literally within the last year, where we've run across one another at an arena. Or one time we saw each other at 40-40, because obviously he's being repped by Rock Nation right now, whatever the case may be. No reporting that went on in that regard. Right. Just pleasantries and things of this nature. That statement that he came out with, that was a surprise to me, because I had no idea that he had any kind of problem with me whatsoever. Okay? I wasn't aware of it, so it was news to me. That's point number one. Point number two is, what it comes down to is that Kevin Durant is trying to put me in some kind of jacket or whatever the case may be. Let me be very, very clear, my brother. It does not fit. You are in no position to question my credibility whatsoever. A matter of fact, one would argue, what position are you in to question the credibility of anybody in the media, particularly when the last time we really heard you say anything of significance, it was when you were addressing the media or undressing the media in February and telling them, could y'all put up this quote for America to see, please? Here it is right there. You guys really don't know bleep. To be honest, man, I'm only here talking to y'all because I have to. So I really don't care. Y'all not my friends. Y'all going to write what you want to write. You're going to say what you want. You're going to love us one day and hate us the next. That's part of it. So I just had to learn how to deal with it. Come back to me, please. Kevin Durant said that in response to idiotic questions he felt the media was asking him about head coach Scott Brooks.
So you heard what he had to say. Now, here's what's interesting. I don't know if you guys saw notice the connection. Do you notice that in that soundbite, Kevin Durant was calling out Stephen A. Smith for the very same thing Jaylen Brown just had an issue with him? He was questioning his sources and his reporting. In that soundbite, Stephen A. Smith was reporting something that it pertained to some comments that were made from Kevin Durant's inner circle about him. Kevin Durant then said, I know all the people in my inner circle. This dude is lying. And then Stephen A. Smith said, if you're going to sit up here and question what I'm saying and question my reporting and my credentials, to use his word, then I'm gonna make you pay and I'm gonna make you regret it. The very thing Katie was complaining about then is the very thing that caused Jaylen Brown to basically call out Stephen A. Smith over the summer and say, name your sources. And it got so bad that Jaylen Brown requested a sit down with Stephen A. Smith, a face-to-face sit down, where he said, your sources are cowards. And Stephen A. Smith still refused to name his sources. Now, why do these players have an issue with reporters going out there and saying our sources said this, our sources said? The reason they have an issue is because you can then hide your opinion. You can guise your opinions behind sources. You can say that this guy is aloof. You can say that this guy is a team destroyer. You can say that this guy is selfish, and then say, I spoke to sources around the NBA and that's what they said. And what this part of journalism then asks of the reader or the person being spoken about, it is asking you to trust them and trust my reporting. But these guys don't trust it. And I'm going to assume that even though Kevin Durant and Stephen A. Smith made peace years later after that audio, I'm going to assume that is the very thing that caused Kevin Durant to say Stephen A. Smith is a clown.